there we are over top the feature match area, looking down on Pro Tour Dragon's Maze round 7. And we're in. So we're gonna do our best to keep the guild gate count.
Just stay left. Just keep turning left.
Right. There's Denniz Rachid. There's Marten Jensen.
Marten Jensen's playing with the European Union. Pretty relatively inexperienced Marten Jensen. I think he has like 3 lifetime pro points. Although he made his debut probably half a decade ago on the Pro Tour.
So what's the
playing against Denniz Rachid, who's obviously got 2 top 8s in 8 tries, and 2 guild gates in 2 tries.
Guild gate count is up to 2. What's Marten Jensen's line of play look like here, as opposed to facing a strong creature deck?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I think he's going to end up having a lot of dead cards early on, and he's going to take a look at the hand of Denniz Rachid with Sin Collector. And the hand he gets to look at, he sees Ceruli Gatekeepers. Mugging, Renounce the Guilds, Urban Evolution, a Maze's End, which he can't interact with, and a Mountain and an Orzhov Guildgate.
You're a big fan of the Gatekeepers.
I do love them.
All right, so he's going to pour over.
He takes the Urban Evolution.
Oh. And he takes the Urban Evolution. So is Denniz Rachid going to go 3 for 3 here on the...
He certainly can.
Yep.
Look at that. It's a Guildgate. And we'll remember that you don't just win with Maze's End in play. You have to activate the ability.
Right. So Maze, this is basically what he's trying to do is win with an alternate win condition, which comes from Maze's End. And we could get a look at the card. We'll show you the card right here. Maze's End enters the battlefield tapped. You tap it to add 1 to your battle pool, to your mana pool. I called it a battle pool because that's how you win. And then 3 tap, return Maze's End to its owner's hand, search your library for a gate card, put it onto the battlefield and shuffle your library. If you control 10 or more gates with different names, meaning all of them,
right,
then you win the game. So there's a precinct captain. So what he's trying to do here is stay alive.
Right.
He is trying to stay alive, and he's got a handful of creatures, but mostly he's got removal spells and control elements in his deck. He's got Far and Away. He's got Mizium Mortars. He's got Dreadbore. He's got War Leader CLX. We saw Renounce the Guilds. Cyclonic Rift to buy a turn. So there you see him use Away on the Precinct Captain and add a 4th Guildgate to the mix.
On the count.
Right, we need a new graphic on the on the life total. Just gate count.
And we see he's played the Far and Away. I mean, he does. He's got to survive at least 10 turns.
Activate Maze's End.
Maybe if he gets lucky, he can get them in 10, or especially if he starts searching.
Right.
For the guild gates.
And there you see he's main phase activating Maze's End, returning it to his hand, and replaying it. We're at 5.
What's Marten? Can Marten Jensen win in 5 turns?
Well,
is the
I
question.
mean, an Aetherling can close a game out pretty quickly.
Fair.
Which is what's interesting about the Ceruli Gatekeepers, because the Ceruli Gatekeepers gives you, a whole extra attack step of Aetherlings that you need.
Right.
So there we see a little, a mini Sphinx's Revelation.
And there's a Aetherling in the hand of Marten Jensen on the right.
Take a look at Marten's hand. Angel of Serenity, Syncopate, Far and Away, Detention Sphere, Sphinx's Revelation.
And is he going to play another Sin Collector, or?
Oh, we might not have all fully caught up with.
There he goes. Sin Collector.
Yep.
Let's see what kind of action you have in here. Denniz Rachid.
Yeah, take the Renounce the Guilds.
Write down the rest of what he has in his hand. There's another guild gate. There's 2 more guild gates, as a matter of fact.
We're gonna see a Cerulean Gatekeepers hit the board. I can't tell you how excited
Are
that
you gonna,
has
are
me.
you about to squeal?
I am. I might. I don't have a sound effect for Cerulean Gatekeepers.
Oh,
All right, Rachid picks his hand back up. 6 different guild gates in play. Well, let's look at his
Activates.
deck list. Is he playing more than 2 of each? No, it doesn't look like he's playing 2 of each and then 4 Mazes Ends.
Yeah, and a couple of basic lands as well.
There is the Azorius guild gate.
Now, apparently, there's another version of this deck that's running around, and it fell victim to a Night Veil Spectre that hit a one-of gate, meaning that the deck
Right.
could not win.
Right. You have no win con.
Okay, we now have 2 Cerulean Gatekeepers in hand.
Go ahead.
Right. Jensen's life total is irrelevant for the most part.
Pretty much.
16.
But Rachid's is not, and Jensen gets in to attack with that Sin Collector, taking Denniz Rachid to 17.
yep.
Decide go
No,
right.
no, I didn't.
It sounded like it, but okay.
Yeah.
Go.
There's 8th
There-
ling.
yeah,
So
there's
that's,
the 8th ling,
That's
so-
8-point chunks of life.
So now he's got to have quite something. I mean, a removal spell can at least blink it for a combat.
Sure.
I mean, he's got to play some delaying tactics here.
Well, again, I mean, Cerulean Gatekeepers is not. I mean, that's almost a whole turn. You know, it gets you over 24.
Right.
Well, not here. I mean, he needs 2 of them to get
Right.
over 24. He's down at 16 now. But as it is, it will take four attack steps for that to get through. How is that possible?
David Sharpman and Brian Kibler are tied at 1 apiece. We've just gotten rolling
How did
here.
they play that many gates so quickly?
Right now.
Sure.
All right, there's Gatekeepers.
You're on 23.
23.
And is he going to play a basic land here so he can activate his Maze's End?
Okay. Gatekeeper takes Rachid up to 23. So he's really just buying himself turns here.
You see his hand. Urban Evolution, Cerulean Gatekeepers. 2 more Guild Gates. I think he has both of those in play, though, an Orzhov and a Simic. And then take a look across the other side of the table. What's going on?
Urban Evolution is a
Card
fan
for
that
you?
you're really a big
I love that
card you're
card.
really a big fan of.
Yeah.
In all formats.
Yes.
So far and away,
He deals the away half,
Plus
gets
one.
rid of.
Resolves.
Yeah.
+1.
Sure.
Resolves. +1.
Okay.
so he's going to swing in
9.
Sure.
for 9.
I'm at 14.
Yep.
Rachid goes to 14.
Go ahead.
End of turn, I'll activate
Sure.
this.
Yep.
We got a activation at the end of turn. 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
This is gonna
Jensen
be
doing the count.
This is going to be 7 gates. And this is one of the things I wondered about that deck is how does it race against an Aetherling? An Aetherling seems like such a fast clock
Right.
for a control deck to have.
Well, he's got to resolve 1 more Gatekeeper, right? And he's good. 1 more Gatekeeper takes him to 21, giving him 2 turns.
Yeah.
So two more activations, and then a main phase activation on the 3rd turn.
Plus it.
Oh. Cyclonic Rift is not a bad.
That's
Not
a
a bad
reasonable.
card.
There's a thought to play it not as an instant because Jensen is tapped all but 1 mana, right?
Yeah, well, you don't want him to. He's still going to be able to exile his Aetherling and bring it back, so you don't really want to do it there. So here we're going to see Urban Evolution. Draw 3 cards.
And obviously, with Urban Evolution, you get to play the extra land drop. And of course, it can be a gate. Rachid in the tank just a little bit. 2 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Is that a
7.
Maze's End though on top?
1.
I'm at 14, correct?
Yep.
Oh, they're both Maze's Ends. Sorry.
And now we see a
3,
Devour
4,
Flesh.
5, 6,
Sacrifice
7.
creature.
Yeah.
You're at
See you, Sin
17.
Collector. Devour Flesh is going to
Yep.
take you away.
Go ahead.
7 guild gates is the count right now.
So he can buy an extra turn with the Cyclonic Rift.
Assuming it doesn't get countered.
Sure.
See Detention Sphere over there in Jensen's hand. Prim Verdict, Syncopate, which is kind of dead. Angel of Serenity. Well, it could be just more a little more beatdown, right?
Right.
And a Precinct Captain.
Take a look at what we have to work with in Rachid's hand. He does not have, I don't believe he has whatever the missing gates are in hand.
There's the Aetherling into the yellow zone. Where's it gold?
The battle zone.
The battle zone.
Danger zone. Go a little archer on it.
Get out of here, Kenny Loggins. So we're going to see how many pumps. There's one.
Plus 1.
Plus 1.
Yep.
I'm at 8.
She drops to 8.
Within lethal range for next turn.
Jensen doesn't know that
Go.
what we know, that there is another Cerulean Gatekeeper in Rachid's hand. So this one's going to come down to the wire. Can Dennis Rachid get there before he falls to the Aetherling? Aetherling's where you need split second cards.
Yeah. Or a pull from eternity. So ruly.
There's the Gatekeeper. Or the Gatekeepers, I guess.
Yeah. Can I go to 15? It buys him 1 turn.
There is a
Did you
Syncopate.
play a land?
No, I have not played that.
There is a Syncopate, and if he does Syncopate it, it means that Rachid then can't activate his Maze's End.
But if he syncopates and taps out, it does mean he can Devour Flesh.
For 3.
So you do it for 3. So there's a couple things he can do here. He can be in response. He can say, I'm going to Cyclonic Rift that. And then when he does that again, then Devour Flesh and kill it. Apparently this is how you kill a Aetherling.
Aetherling.
It requires you 3-for-1ing yourself. or
Right,
something.
but I think it's the only reasonable play, because he's got to. The Gatekeepers doesn't resolve. He's dead next turn.
Cards 9. 3.
4.
4.
So Cyclonic Rift not overloaded. Looks like he's going to pay it.
You pay?
I'll play.
Sure.
And we already have a result. David Sharkman. They must have been playing
I'm just
RDW
I'm gonna pay,
against each
but
other.
Think about how to tap.
Thinking about how to tap is what he says.
Sure.
Gain 7.
Oops, sorry. You're on 15, right?
Yes.
And Rachid goes to 15.
Gate.
But that's a Simic Guild gate that he already has one in play. So that's a redundant one.
But all of his removal spells are time walks at this point.
Right. Fair. He only has 3 mana up, so he has to make choices.
Let's take a look at the hand of Marten Jensen. Precinct Captain, Sin Collector, Angel of Serenity, Detention Sphere, Supreme Verdict.
I mean, Marten Jensen can't stop Rachid from doing what he's doing except by just killing him. There's no real interaction with the rest of his deck.
Here comes the Sin
In
Collector.
response to the Sin Collector, draw flesh.
And there's Devour Flesh in response to the Sin
That's solid.
Collector.
Sure.
He's going to blink out.
Sin Collector assault.
Jensen's going to blink out the Aetherling.
See Amizium Mortars. See a pair of Overload spells.
Right.
Is it at its finest?
Marshall Sutcliffe would be very, very happy right now. So Jensen's going to take a look. What do you take here, Brian?
Take the Cyclonic Rift.
I'll take the lift.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's the only choice.
Yeah, the Mortars doesn't really impact anything.
Right. Again, he doesn't have another Maze's End activation available this turn because he's out of mana. But he has effectively given himself another turn.
Go.
Says go. Aetherling comes back for more.
If you're just tuning into Pro Tour Dragon's Maze coverage, you've missed the Aetherlings. It's 4, 5 for 6. You can pay 1 blue mana to exile it and return it at the beginning of the next end step. You can pay a blue and make it unblockable. And for a colorless mana, you can either give it +1, -1, or -1, +1.
Okay, so we get a maze activation
And I'm gonna play the maze.
and play the maze.
And I'm gonna pass it down.
And he's basically won this game unless how can Marten deal 15 damage this turn? He gets to activate a maze at the end of the turn, then untap.
Oh, right, he's got another maze up top.
He's got a maze untapped, 3 mana, activate it, get it, untap,
Main phase.
main phase,
Activate
maze, main maze.
Main.
He's got the main maze and the second main maze.
Oh, Rich Hagon would be proud.
Wow, you really know how to cut a guy to the quick.
Unblockable.
Sure. Lots.
Tomohiro Saito has taken his match from Mamoru Nagai,
+1. Resolve.
2-0.
Yes.
+1.
Yep.
Check that. That was just the first game. 1-0 for Saito.
+1.
Okay.
Yeah, here's the pump.
+1.
Another +1.
So that's 8.
Yeah.
Okay,
You're
Dennis
on
Rachid
7.
down to 7.
Is he just hoping that Dennis Rachid's bluffing? Oh wait, did he not have an untap? Oh, it doesn't matter if he has
2,
both
3,
me.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in my upkeep.
Activate them both.
Maze Hunt. And I'll activate the other.
Sure. You got this one
And I'm-
twice, right?
I'm gonna, yeah.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I'm gonna search at 10.
Okay.
Okay, there we are. Dennis Rachid has taken game 1 from Marten Jensen. It took a little explanation.
I have 2 words.
Win the game.
Go.
Achievement unlocked.
Okay, so you've seen the Maze's End deck at work here at Pro Tour's Dragon's Maze. Couldn't have asked for anything more fitting. And then we're going to go to game 2. That's Dennis Rachid on the left, Marten Jensen on your right. I I have.
So let's take a look at.
We'd like to thank Card House Games for being an official card retailer here at Pro Tour Dragon's Maze. For all things Magic, Card House Games is one of the premier destinations on the internet. For more information, visit cardhouse.com. What's the sideboard plan look like here, Brian, for these two guys?
Well, I have no idea what the Mace's End deck is going to do. It says hold the gates. Although apparently some of the Mace's End decks have been bringing in Crackling Perimeter. I'm not even joking. Slaughter Games is certainly a card that I expect to see Denniz Rachid bring in. Certainly you just want to Slaughter Games,
Right.
get rid of those stupid Aetherlings.
Right.
Maybe a Sire of Insanity, also really good against these decks. Or the Sire of Insanity. As far as the Esper deck, I'm not really sure what are they going to bring in. Maybe Obsidian Ghost Council and try to race.
I mean, he certainly takes out all his wraths. And
Yes. Well, he's got a lot of cards to get out of his deck.
And then just brings in creatures and
Right.
gets him just starts
And tries to
attacking.
get in more aggressively.
and then finish off with an Aetherling. We'll see.
I was excited, as considering it consisted of just playing lands. That was very exciting.
We haven't seen such play since the days of Landstill. Yeah, the Supreme Verdicts are likely gonna come out. Probably the Detention Spheres. He's obviously gonna stick with the Jaces and the Sphinx's Revelations for card advantage. I mean, he's got two Obsidats in his sideboard. He's got 3 Blood Barons. I see us.
I could see him bringing in the Woodlock Crawlers, honestly, and just saying I want to get in pretty aggressively.
Well, we'll see how it goes for Marten Jensen in Game 2 against Denniz Rachid. Again, Rachid, a guy with a pretty significant Pro Tour resume. 2 Pro Tour top 8s.
I'll play first.
Jensen announcing that he'll play first.
Look at Ral Zarek in the background,
Just
being a boss,
just
just
hanging out.
casually untapping stuff.
Just hanging out over the city.
Yeah, I hang with Stasis.
All right, there's a good shot of Marten Jensen. It's again from Germany, 3 Pro Tour points. So this is really a battle of guys with radically different resumes. 7 Pro Tours for Denniz Rachid.
This is his 8th.
Yeah.
If he doesn't make it here to the top 8, he'll only have top 8 in 25% of his top 8s.
Right. He does have 2 Pro Tour top 8s. He's got a GP top 8. First time he was with us from Sweden, playing in Worlds 2003, finished 245th. So
Mulligan.
Doing a little better these days.
I'll mulligan as well.
But both players go back to the well for 6 new cards. Yeah, Denniz Rachid currently, I believe, in 2nd place in the World Magic Cup race.
I believe
So
you are
he's
correct.
considerably behind Joel Larson.
Mm-hmm.
But what he's really looking for right now is locking up gold. More than obviously wants to win a Pro Tour, et cetera, et cetera. But
Right.
he really wants to get to gold. He's platinum this year. He'd like to at least get to gold this year, and he's still got a little bit of work to do that.
So both players going to 6. Does this play into an advantage for one or the 2 of them?
I don't know. I mean, they both have recuperative powers in their deck as far as cards.
But I mean, at 6 cards, it's going to be a little more difficult for Jensen to be hyper aggressive.
Oh, absolutely.
And he's just going to have that one fewer card to start dealing damage with.
Right, and Jensen and Rachid could theoretically win with a 4-card hand with 4 lands.
Right.
Keep.
Oh, mulligan.
Oh, Rachid is going to go to 5.
He's putting it to the test.
That I think he was listening in, and he's going to wonder, is Brian David Marshall right or not?
Sure.
See, our friend Chris Cluey is signed with the Raiders of the NFL.
I did not see that.
It's like he's going to be punting in Oakland this year.
A little football and magic crossover information.
All right, there's Rachid offering up to Jensen.
So talking to Rachid and the Swedes about this deck, this was like what they called their gamble deck.
Okay.
They're like, so what are we gonna do? Are we gonna play a safe deck and kind of play the percentages and expect to do well and maybe hope to perform a little better or right around very close to where we expect, or do we gamble on the format and play
Something different.
something crazy that if we're right, we feel like we can run
The whole
table
team can
with.
run the table, right?
Yeah.
Looks like Rachid is going to test your theory and go to 4.
Okay, so Maze's End, Simic Guildgate, Is It Guildgate, and Orzhov Guildgate for the win.
Yeah, that would be quite something. Do you think that the deck selection a pro brings in is different when it's his 4th or 5th Pro Tour versus his 24th or 25th?
I think it might be different when it's the last Pro Tour of the season and you're trying to lock up levels than it is, say, going
Nice
into
end
the
one
first Pro
time.
Tour.
Oh, mulligan.
Oh, boy.
Going to 3. When was the last time we saw? It's been a long time since we've seen somebody go to 3. I know this is not some elaborate stall tactic.
Be a hell of a story. Trying to see if we have any information on the hand that was kept by. We do.
I don't think I've mulliganed to 3 before.
Oh, there's Rachid saying he doesn't think he's gone to 3 before.
Yeah, the hand that he mulliganed to 3 was apparently triple Ceruli Gatekeepers and an Azorius Guildgate. Sounds like many of my drafts gone awry.
Oh, there's a keep. It's 1 land. Dreadbore. Oh, draws a 2nd land.
I can cast the Dreadbore.
We're off to the races. Well,
Nope.
And
this is more like the Trotters.
Go.
Nope.
Land. 3 lands for everybody.
It's about as good a 3-land hand as he's going to get.
Looks like Jensen drawn a 4th land. He has.
18.
Watery Grave into play
Yeah,
untapped for
that's-
Jace.
That smells like Jace.
Yeah.
That's okay.
+1.
Sure.
Go.
Rachid says that's okay.
Here's a Maze's End. Get out of here. Why do you think I kept the 3-land hand and didn't go to 2? I had a Dreadbore.
So the Dreadbore takes out Jace, and Jensen comes right back with a 2nd one.
He's like, joke's on you. I had 2.
And this one he's gonna mini factor fiction. We see the Angel of Serenity.
What do you want, the land or the 2 spells? He's like, I want the land. You got the read on me.
I mean, the mini FOF is not like big factor fiction where you just take the big pile, right?
Oh, and there's the Slaughter Games. Plays a 2nd Rakdos Guildgate. It
Power
says
games here? Etherling.
Name's Aetherling.
Of course he does. He snap named Aetherling.
We do see an Obsidian Ghost Council, but that is not nearly the clock
That Aetherling.
that the Aetherling is.
I mean, Rashid's problem at this point is just being out of cards. Good news is he's got the Maze's End. So he's going to search Jensen's library. Slaughter
So
Games.
Slaughter Games exiles those cards, right?
It does.
So they just come back into play at the beginning of his next end step.
Aetherling is not quite that good, Brian. The thing about Slaughter Games is it can't be countered. And when it resolves, you name a non-land card and you search the opponent's graveyard, hand, and library
Yeah.
for any number of those cards with that name. Have you ever seen a situation where somebody doesn't take one of the cards with the Slaughter Games? Says, I'm going to exile these 3, but leave you that one.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen people forget. Like, I thought I got all those. No, I was playing 4. You're just lazy.
All right, so 2 Rakdos Guildgates, an Izzet Guildgate, and an Orzhov Guildgate for Denniz Rachid to go along with his Maze's End.
And he's going to unmulligan in a turn or two if he gets to cast that Urban Evolution in his hand. Here we get a look at Marten Jensen's hand. Precinct Captain, Obsidian Ghost Council, Detention Sphere, and Sphinx's Revelation. A hand that was just laid bare before us. He's drawn an additional card. It's an island.
So he can play the Obsidian.
Can and
No,
will.
he cannot. He doesn't have to. Oh, yes, he does. He has 2 white.
+1.
Sure.
Besides, he doesn't want to lose his Jace just yet. He'll
For 3.
Okay.
So he's going to Sphinx's
Hold on.
Revelation for 3. That will take him back up to 21.
Cards hand.
Remember, he took 2
6.
from shocking himself with Watery Grave.
Activate Maze's End.
And Rachid activates Maze's End. So
activates Maze's End, replays Maze's End.
I'm going to play the Maze's End.
did,
Sees it 4. 4 Guild Gates.
do you like the
6.
play of drawing the cards there as opposed to getting the creature on the table and starting to battle?
I like getting a creature on the table and starting a battle, especially when my opponent's got 1 card in hand.
Right.
Maybe not all his colors. So it looks like we have a 5th gate in hand. Dimir Guildgate was one of the was drawn that turn by Denniz Rachid. So he's got another gate in hand.
And I mean, all this play so far, Rashid's still at 20. And with no Aetherlings, the big hits aren't going to come, so he's going to have some time.
I mean, the Obsidian Ghost Council is going to be able to do a little work.
That's
it's gonna,
7 a turn.
It's going to
yeah.
hit you for 7 a turn.
But it can be. I mean, it's a lot easier to deal with than the Aetherling is.
Easier, in quotes.
Yeah.
Surrounded by the air bunnies.
All right. So now Marten Jensen is going to cast another Sin Collector.
Oh, and he gets the Urban Evolution.
That's a huge play, I think, in this game.
Yeah. I mean, that was Dennis's chance to unmulligan. I mean, he didn't have an opportunity to play it. He's got his mana online to be able to.
So Bob Marr is taking game 1 from Robert Yurkovich on one of the back tables.
Activate Maze's End.
Thanks to crack sideline reporter Rashad Miller for that update. And we are at just under 18 minutes left in the round. So this is, I mean, Jensen's got to be thinking about this clock too,
Yeah.
because he's got to win this game and another one.
Yeah.
Okay, there's the Azorius Guildgate. Plays the Maze's End.
We've got 5 gates in play, a 6th in hand.
+1.
Tick, 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 tick.
It's coming again. I think it's going to come down the line, but at 7 a turn, from the Obsidat.
Yep.
18.
Yes.
And
Trigger.
there, the Ghost Council comes.
21, 16.
So he's going to drain Rachid for 2.
Go.
Right on time. Cerulean
boy.
Gatekeepers.
Yeah. That was a nice top deck off for Denniz. Rachid. Cerulean Gatekeepers.
Sure.
No counterspell. I'm going to gain 7 life. Go back up to
23.
23.
Yep.
Plays a 2nd copy of Maze's End.
+1.
Yep.
So what do you make of Marten Jensen not blinking the Obsidat there?
Perhaps nerves?
Sure.
Tension Sphere takes out the Gatekeepers. Obsidat and Sin Collector come in for 6.
16 again.
Sorry, 7 to take Denniz Rachid to 16.
Here comes a precinct captain.
Trigger.
Yep.
Okay, he gets the trigger this time. So, like last game, we're going to come down. I think we're going to come down here to critical turns.
There's a Sin Collector.
A Sin Collector of his own for
That's an
Denniz
Obsidat.
Rachid.
Set up. Excel. It mills 2.
Yep.
Ooh, milling 2 could be. You don't want to
Oh.
hit. You don't want to hit 2 gates.
Cyclonic Rift and an Orzhov Guild Gate.
Yeah, sorry. I'll activate the Maze's End.
Sure.
Late end and plus attack.
Let's double check our count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Trigger.
14.
Spectators.
Obsidat comes back in, drains Rachid for 2. That'll take him to 14.
When you finish your match, you become
Looks like our count is
spectator,
6
so
guild gates.
Please vacate the play area.
So there's some damage coming here this turn. I mean, this is really 2-turn clock for Rachid.
Yeah.
9.
Because that's 9.
Trigger.
Precinct Captain's going to go hire somebody. And
Sure.
21.
looks like,
Go ahead.
especially with that Syncopate still and 2 Syncopates in hand, Jensen is in pretty good control here. Looks like he failed to blink the Obsidat again. But Rachid says, nope, nothing I can do. Marten Jensen takes down game 2. We're going to go to exciting game 3. I mean, the thing is, Rachid was kind of in that game after a mulligan to 3.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't kidding. You really can win with, you get a Maze's End, you're going to unmulligan a lot of your card loss there.
Right, and especially if he gets to play that Urban Evolution.
Yeah.
Tomas Enel-Olsen. Tomas, please come to the judges' station.
Qualifiers for the next Pro Tour have begun. You could be on the big stage for Pro Tour Theris taking place in October the 11th to 13th in Dublin. For more information, visit wizards.com/PTQ.
And while we were talking about that, Tomohiro Saito, 1-2-0.
So,
Okay.
I don't know. Just a few Obsidat triggers, I guess.
Yes,
Just
there's
1, 2,
Jensen talking about the fact that he missed a couple of Obsidat triggers. That's got to be nerves. I mean, you're playing you're playing a guy that's well known on your continent, and
I guess we need to play a bit faster.
You got
you're on the
like
big stage and you're under the hot lights.
10 minutes.
Plus 3.
So one of the cards that is really interesting to me in Denniz Rachid's deck is
This
Urban
mulligans,
Evolution.
I guess.
Yeah,
Right.
I know.
I've been playing this card in my commander deck. I play it in my draft deck. Yeah, I love it. Playtest name for this card was Science. You know, for all you Thomas Dolby fans out there. You know, it's what can you say about it? You draw 3 cards, you play an
two
extra.
lands.
Yeah, you play 2 lands. That's awesome. Allows mid-range control decks to refuel their hands while also accelerating mana. So it's that kind of idea. We were talking about that with Blast of Genius. The idea that, you know, I tap out and I don't do anything to the board
Right.
on cards like Tidings and whatnot. But this card, you know, lets me get that extra land in play, or if I draw 2 lands, play both of them. Blast of Genius lets me kill something and actually actively impact what's going on while I'm drawing my cards. I'm a big fan of this card. I'm so happy that it's found a home in what's clearly the best deck of the tournament.
All right, there's a sweep in from the back there. There's Tomohiro Saito. And there we see Denniz Rachid on the left. It's Marten Jensen on the right.
And
Rachid has played 2 Guild Gates. They
he's
both
up
keep
2 Guild Gates to 1.
full hands.
There's a precinct captain.
So, again,
Go ahead.
That's been a
Godless
big
Shrine.
card this weekend. We've seen that card get out of hand very quickly.
Godless Shrine coming down, shocking himself for 2. And now the precinct captain's going to battle. And again, he's going to go higher in his soldiers. Come Rachid to
Trigger.
19.
18.
Rachid to 18. Both these guys probably going to play this game relatively brisk.
Yeah,
Pace because of the time.
We're running tight on time. Got about 10 minutes left of the round.
And we see the draw of a Sin Collector. Jensen
Trigger.
chooses to get into the battle zone. Drops Rachid down to 15. Again, Jensen not really caring that his shock lands are coming into play. The untapped.
He can put himself to 10. Well, of course, there are Blood Barons of Viscopa in the sideboard of Rashid's deck. He could surprise you.
That would be a heck of a surprise. I mean, they're probably there for the mono red decks mostly. Jensen plays Howl Fountain.
Activates Maze's End, replays Maze's End. Double checks what he wants to put into play.
And it's Rakdos Guildgate.
He is going to need to impact this board and soon.
Right, again, the precinct captain is just going to get out of hand because he's adding 1 more to the pile every turn.
And Marten Jensen is not going to tap out anytime soon for anything. He's pretty happy to ride this pony
Right.
and syncopate the first thing that he attempts to do.
Right, the Urban Evolution
With 11.
sheet goes to 11. 3 soldier tokens now for Marten Jensen. Here's an island.
Trigger.
Oh, he is gonna tap out, playing opposite that. But
9,
again,
16.
that's
Trigger.
now that's a 2-turn clock.
Go ahead.
Not gonna forget his trigger this time.
You can actually keep it on top if you like.
Okay.
Judge Kevin Binswager reminding him he can't really put it on top of his library.
Exactly.
You can't also keep it
Okay,
on top of your
whatever.
Can't
hand.
put it in play either.
Cards in hand.
You have to make it challenging. You have to keep it somewhere where you might possibly forget your trigger. That's the way it works, kid.
I can put a
Yes,
dice
yes,
on
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
there
figured
you
it
go.
out.
So Rachid wondering how he's going to survive through his next turn because
Me too.
opposite hat's going to drain him for 2, and it has haste, so it's going to battle in with the precinct captain and the 3 knight tokens, or sorry, the 3 soldier tokens for game. He's doing a little math right now, and like we talked about, I mean, Marten Jensen just went with the beatdown plan.
Yep.
more math from Rachid. Wondering how he's going to get out of this very, very, as Rich Hagon might say, sticky wicket.
And
You
we
said
see
something about playing faster, right?
Sire of Insanity.
Sure.
Discard.
And Jensen just says, sure.
Go ahead.
Trigger.
Sire of Insanity, of course,
On
end of each
7, I'm
end
on
step,
18.
each player discards their hand.
So making the job of the hand tool operator much easier. Maybe we can get see if we can get Sire of Insanity to show as the card.
And it's, I mean, it's on a 6/4 body as well. But doesn't Jensen just go in
With everything.
with everybody? He can only block one of them. Even if he kills the Obsidians, it's a trade. And he does 5 damage this turn and has plenty for next.
Sure.
Block the
Take 2?
precinct company. He's going to take
How much
the
for?
conservative route.
Sure.
There's the Sphinx's Revelation. For 1, 2. Blinks out Obsidian.
Yep, I'm discarding.
And discards those cards that he just drew. Okay.
Did you draw Mizzium Orders? No, that doesn't even do it. He needs to draw Renounce the Guilds.
Sure.
How about another Sire of Insanity? Now is there anywhere?
2.
There's no way Denniz
And
Rachid can go on the
22.
beatdown plan here because the Obsidian's just going to kill him next turn.
Right.
You're 2, right?
Yeah, there we go. All right, there's the handshake. Marten Jensen has taken down
Captain, too
Denniz
strong.
Rachid in the
I had
match
the wrong
of the
gates, basically. I
Control
couldn't
versus
mulligan the Maze's End.
Maze's
I had
End.
all the removal,
Yeah.
but no black.
Yeah, I see.
Oh, so you had a bunch of
I don't
removal,
think
but
I
no
lose
black
it
mana.
if I draw the black.
He got trapped into the hand
If they're lucky, then good.
by the
Can I keep
by
it
the
off?
gate.
Oh, that's too bad.
You can play Magic at a store near you every Friday. Earn Planeswalker points and battle against your friends in Friday Night Magic. Maze FNM promo card is Judges Familiar. Visit wizards.com/FNM to find a store near you.
So I think we're going to be able to switch over and check in on Bob Marr, Robert Yurkovic.
Yeah, I just have to make sure I'm not tapping any blue to do it.
Bob Marr is up 1-0 in that match, and we're going to get over to it just in a moment. We can see here from Studio A,
Does it, Judge, is it his,
fair number of cards in
his
play.
On his turn, on my turn, he noticed he had 8. He just needs to discard one.
Yeah, you have to discard now, you get a warning. Did
Okay.
you get any warning
Your
before?
turn.
No. Okay.
All right, there we are on the overhead. We see on Yurkovic's side, Detention Sphere taking care of Jace, Architect of Thought, and a Sin Collector, and we see a Detention Sphere taking care of one of Yurkovic's Sin Collectors.
We also see a time-shifted life total there with different players. There we
Right,
go.
there we go. Bob Marr at 11, Yurkovic at 18. Marr leads this match 1-0.
The Blood Baron of Viscopa.
Draw.
Marr looks like he's living off the top of his library here.
Yeah, he's got 1 card in hand.
Unblockable.
Yep.
So that Aetherling is unblockable.
That's it. Okay.
Just checking.
Make it 8 again.
Make him 8 again, Bob says. So Yurkovic will go to 10.
Remove him. Go.
Exiles him, blinks him. That, of course, that means he comes back untapped. He's up as a defender. Now, of course, the play here is going to be to block Blood Baron with the Aetherling
Yeah.
and blink it so that it doesn't deal any damage, thereby getting the lifelink. We have 3 minutes left.
Sorry, I really meant it when I said it. I was.
Okay, so Detention Sphere targets the Aetherling, which Marr, of course, blinks out. And Jurkovic comes in with the team, Sin Collector,
This one?
Precinct Captain, Blood Baron of Viscopa.
Okay. You have 5. I have 14.
And from Cracks Island reporter Rachid Miller, we hear there's a 3-minute time extension in this match.
Yep.
So there's going to be a 6-minute total.
Oh,
Mar down to 5. Did he just peel a Cyclonic Rift?
He did.
That's a thing. It's going to change a little. He's got to get the read on Jurkovic, whether he has the Syncopate or not.
Or the Syncopate and the
Unblockable.
Psychic Strike.
attack.
Okay.
So Mar thinking now about what he's going to do with his Aetherling.
Looks like he's just going to pump it to 7.
Well, he's got to put him. Yeah, he's got to put him on the two turn.
Yep.
For 7.
7.
Down to
So
7.
Jurkovic goes down to 7. Blinks the 8. And a turn. Oh, far and away was the draw for Robert Jurkovic.
Bound sacrifice.
Bounce sacrifice. Token goes away. Here comes the guys. Mar says Cyclonic Rift on the Blood Baron, but Jurkovic has his choice.
I mean, no cards in hand. You've got it. Okay. How much time is left?
Don't slow roll me, thank you, says Bob Mar.
Cruising competitors, once again, a reminder.
Bob Mar might be the only person in the room who could say to Robert Jurkovic, don't slow roll me, kid.
Yeah.
Should not be sitting in the play area. If you are done playing,
They've got 5 minutes left
To shuffle side,
so
3 minutes. So they're not even going to get out of. They're not even going to get out of sideboarding here.
Yeah, this is looking a lot like a
Oh,
draw.
a 1-1 draw.
Yeah.
But not even Aetherling can kill that fast.
competitors, that is timed in round 7.
Okay, we've just heard the overhead time call.
Again, round 7. We're done.
So about 3 minutes from now.
Yeah.
My colors, my guild, my shirt. Proclaim your allegiance today by purchasing your guild apparel at mtgmerch.com. Orzhov clearly is the correct guild.
I'm sure you believe that.
It's knowing what's right and having the courage to make it happen.
It's knowing what pet you want and having the courage to fuse them together. Simic. So this matchup between the Band Control deck and the European Union Esper deck, it sounds like we also have a similar situation. Looking at on the floor, Lauren Lee is one of the people here using social media to be as a reporter checking in on the event. It looks like Lucas Cholkowski and Samuel Black, playing a similar matchup, are also in the same position. That got 4 minutes left, and we
we're
tied
1-1.
it up, and yeah, we're
Well, I mean, isn't that the problem with control decks historically?
Yeah.
That I mean, some of them win game
The
1
floor
and then
rules are to
hope
play
that
at
you
pace to
never
finish
get to
3 games, right?
finish game 2.
The floor rules are to play at a pace to finish 3 games.
The best, the player to gain 2 games. You need to gain 2 games.
Okay, Bob Maher is asking the judge a question. I don't think he's understood what he's asked.
The floor rules? No, yeah, the floor
the
rules.
judge is
so
like, no, you have to
play
win
at a
2
pace
games.
Yes.
with the intent to finish 3 games.
Yes.
So
It
it looks,
doesn't seem like that.
seems like Bob is not happy with Jurkovic's pace of play. Spanish judge Alfonso Bueno there, standing over the match.
I'll go first.
I don't think.
Yeah,
either of
Rashad's
the-
asking us if either of those decks can win in 3 turns, and certainly it can.
The
I'm
Priesty Captain deck might be able to do some work, but
Okay, Rashad Miller says, I'm out on this mulligan.
He's like, oh, is that a mulligan? Time for me to hit craft services.
A hospitality break, as it were. Yeah, so it seems though, in context, we obviously weren't watching much of this match, that Bob was not happy with Jurkovic's pace of play.
Well, I think he felt maybe that he was being a little pokey there as they were coming down the stretch of that shuffle and get ready to play in the third game.
Bob going to mulligan to 5 for all the difference I think it makes here. You know, he had no land in his hand. There's 5.
Not even doing this just to waste time either.
So Bob's going to go to 4. That was another no land hand. We saw a Jace.
Yep.
We saw a detention sphere.
Yep, we can see your hand, Bob. We know.
The world is watching.
Believe me, Sheldon would let everyone know if that was the case.
This is time.
It's happened.
Yeah, I know.
I
Bob,
don't even discard.
Bob's,
Okay.
Time is over. It's 1-1-0.
Bob,
Oh,
said,
first land.
Bob said he had gotten a lot of his old saltiness back. He's like, I feel good. You know, I feel good and salty.
There's a there's a competitive edge to great players. There's this real competitive edge to
No, my first hand was great if we were
the
playing
great
straight
players
up.
that
Well, not
makes
great.
them
It was 2
wanna
lands
win.
and that
Yeah.
green wall, and then just a bunch of Jaces and a Dispel.
Here we are back in the booth. I'm Sheldon Menery, sitting alongside none other than Brian David Marshall, and we watched some magic right there with the Maze's End.
We almost saw someone win on a mulligan to 3. It was pretty
Right.
close.
That was an interesting plan that showed how Jensen adapted to the circumstances. His life title means nothing, so his shock lands all come into play untapped.
Right.
And he's got to get aggressive because he can't wait, because he can't interact with most of Rachid's cards.
Right, yeah. And it was interesting also to hear Rachid talk about the fact that he's like, you know, I kind of should have mulliganed this hand, but I had a Maze's End.
Right. So
And it's like what, very similar to Thawing Glaciers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a card we know and love.
from the ancient days.
Yeah. And it was just one of those cards where if you had it in your hand and a control mirror, I mean, that was just such inevitability that you were just going to get out ahead. You were going to have more land than your opponent. You were going to thin your deck. You were going to draw your stuff. So he just felt like he couldn't do it. But it ended up because he kept that, his guild gates didn't line up with the spells. Like
Right.
he wasn't able to cast them.
Right, he didn't have the sufficient black mana that we saw. That
Right.
most of his hand was
Right.
full of black. I mean, in those control matchups, really, most lands wins. You know, it's like a gunfighter staring each other down, and the first guy to miss a land drop or the first guy to get extra land drops,
Yeah.
is going to decide the way that the match turns out.
Yeah, no, that was. I'm really curious to see how that deck plays out as the tournament progresses, as there's more information out there about it, as people begin to understand what it can and cannot do, and then also as it begins to play its little sideboard games, going to its creature package, or going, okay, I'm going to go on the beatdown plan with my Sin Collectors, my Sire of Insanities, and my Blood Barons of Viscopa.
Well, I mean, if the control deck is siding out its Supreme Verdicts and taking out the far and away, why not?
Right. And I also want to see there's apparently another version of this deck that's out there. That is more, and it's something that we've seen in the daily events on Magic Online. We saw maybe a version of this in a couple of the dailies that is running a fog package with the Druid's Deliverances and
Riot
whatnot.
controls and whatnot.
Yeah, Riot Control.
Yeah, well, there's another gain the life, get you an extra turn. So we are going to go back over to Studio B and Richard Hagon.
Well, Marshall Sutcliffe and that's Zach Gill. Richard Hagan, I assure you, is in the vicinity, but he is not here. So, in fact, he just waved
waving
at
at
me.
us.
Yeah, he's waving
Yeah.
at us right now, trying to distract us. So what we're going to do, though, is we have a deck tech, Zach, that you did just a little bit earlier in the round with Ollie and Trazi, and I believe it's ready to go now. So we're going to send to that right now. Let's take a look at Ollie's deck, and then we'll be back here at the desk.
Hi, welcome to the Tournament Center. I'm Zach here with Ali Aintrazi.
Hello.
Hi, what's going on?
What's up?
He's going to talk to us about a green-white mid-range deck that plays a lot of tokens card. Now, before we look at some of the individual cards, can you just tell us sort of what your deck does and why you wanted to play it today?
Well, usually the deck is just a mid-range deck. It's a deck that fights all the aggro decks and fights the control decks too. Like, it wants to win during the middle of the game, hence mid-range. So it just swarms the board, it populates, and just tries to overwhelm your opponent with like tokens.
Awesome. Okay, so let's take a look at exactly how it goes about doing that. Now, this is sort of, it seems like sort of the core early game suite of threats. We've got Experiment 1, we've got Call of the Conclave, Voice of Resurgence, and actually 4 copies of Vitu-Ghazi Guildmage.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this looks like this deck can produce some pretty fast starts. Does that actually happen, very
It can,
often?
yeah, it's not as much as you think.
Okay.
But it can, like with Experiment 1, but we only have one drop.
Right.
Like, this is the best one drop in the format.
Okay.
Like, and Dried Militant in the second, but this guy is really good. We were going to run a Militant, but we wanted, again, like the more stocky
Okay.
middle game route, so we're just this is the only one drop we have.
And why is Experiment 1 the best one drop in the format? you think?
Because he grows so big, especially in
Oh,
this
yeah?
deck. Yeah, and also he lives through like a Supreme Verdict
Totally.
by regenerating, so.
Right, he has to become a 1/1, but he still stays on the board.
Yeah, well,
Or a 2/2, I mean,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, you're
right.
right. Exactly. Yeah. So he can live through. Wrath, and he's just grows. So he's really very good.
Awesome. So, I mean, Call of the Conclave, you don't have to do a lot of convincing to tell me to play a 2-mana 3/3, but it also makes a token. So, I mean, how much of a populate deck is this?
Yeah, it's very heavy populate. Like,
Okay.
like you said, this is like a Watch Wolf with the drawback usually is a token.
Right.
But and here is actually a benefit too because of some Vitu-Ghazi Guildmage.
Cool.
Populate with it. So.
All right, so we were talking about, like, why the tokens are good. Voice of Resurgence here
Oh
also
man,
got
this guy, it's amazing.
I hear everybody talking about
Yeah.
how amazing this card
He's
is.
so
Just-
good.
We haven't done a deck tech with it just yet, so why don't you just take 10 seconds, explain to us why
Okay.
this card is so awesome.
All right, this guy not only first of all he's a 2/2 for 2, which is fine. But the fact that he fights control decks by making them play on their turn, not on your turn.
Right.
Otherwise, he makes a nasty token. He also fights aggro decks because like he can block a guy, then make a bigger guy. Like, and you want him to die so much. You want him to die. So like he gains you life against aggro, against control. That play fair. And even if they wrath the board, you're still left with some sort of board state.
Right.
Either a token, maybe a token in Experiment 1 or whatever. So it fights all the decks very fair,
Oh, yeah.
very nicely, like the control aggro and the mid-range deck. So probably the best card in the deck.
Cool. So we see a lot of those cards, even some standard appearances with them. This
Yeah.
Vitu-Ghazi Guildmage, not
Draft.
really a card we've seen in standard at all. Yeah, great draft card. And you're
Yeah.
playing not just a copy or two, you're playing the full 4 copies. Why does this guy earn a slot?
The reason, because she like populates and she can, it's a 2-drop again, 2/2 against control. She can reswarm the board,
Right.
or she can make we'll get to later, but worms or more elemental or 8/8, whatever how big this guy is.
Sick.
But we're running 4 because we wanted to run more lands.
Right.
We're running 26 lands because
Oh, okay.
we don't get mana screwed, and she's also mana intensive, so we're just like let's play 4 of her.
Even if you're flooded out and she's your only threat,
It's
she
so
can be
good.
an army by herself.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, so let's take a look at some of the deck's bigger threats, because it's not just 1 and 2 drops. You get 4 copies of Smiter, 4 Advent of the Word, and 4 Scion of Vitu-Ghazi, a card that I'm really excited about. So could
Awesome.
you explain this suite of cards? Again, 4 of each of these, not necessarily the most intuitive, especially with Scion.
Yeah, okay. This is obviously these are all like this deck plays the biggest creatures.
Okay.
For 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, and
Right.
4-drop. 3-drop is a Smiter. He's like the biggest guy you can build. Yeah, he's huge.
Yeah.
He grows Experiment 1. He's uncountable. Just a very nice guy. I like him actually. He's nice. You should know him.
It's fun to hang out with.
He is. And the worm, this card, again, it's good. Not only does it grow everything and you can populate with it, it's good against control. Like if they wrath the board,
Right.
you can be like, okay, that's fine.
All right,
I still have
time for a
5/5.
5/5.
Exactly.
Yeah.
come to party. Let's play. Let's party. All right.
And speaking of come to party, this card
Oh,
curves
yes.
very nicely
Exactly.
into Big Daddy right
Yeah,
here.
like they wrath you like worm. All right, scion, make a bird, another worm. Like you wrath again. You have to wrath again.
Also makes your Voice of Resurgence tokens really huge, but realistically, I mean, you know, we're telling like great stories about this card, but like how often does it actually come up that you populate 3/3s, 5/5s, and XXs and don't just make kind of 2 birds? I mean, is that a real thing?
Sometimes you do make 2 birds. Like sometimes you have the option of making like a 3/3 healer. But you're like, you know what? I need a flyer. Like
Totally.
this board is clogged up. I need a flyer, and I need to hope I draw Collective Blessing. So.
Awesome. And so he earns his slot though. I mean,
He does.
Worth 4 copies.
He's better than Armada Worm, hands down.
Really?
Yeah. Like think about it. Like he can make a worm or a bird, and like he costs 1 less, which is huge in this format.
yeah, of
so
course.
it's amazing. Very good card.
So those are all our 4-ofs. Those are kind of the meat and potatoes of our deck. Let's
Yes.
take a look now. You know, it's not just giant, dirtily guys. We've got 3 copies of Celestia Charm, kind of doing double duty as a token to populate and as a removal spell. What mode does this card mostly get cast in?
Right now, I'm playing this because mostly aggro, so it's mostly making a 2/2s because there's the falter guy. When he attacks, he basically I can't block. So you let that resolve, make a 2/2, then block it. So he also kills like Ob's Dat. He kills all the big nasty guys. The only guys he doesn't kill is obviously Blood Baron and Aetherling, which are a problem, but he kills everything else. Inner Serenity, all that stuff.
Cool, so we got Rootborn defenses, obviously some Wrath Insurance,
Yes.
obviously can populate great against other creature decks. You know, you can almost block, just kill sometimes their entire
blowout.
team.
Yeah, literally a blowout, yeah.
And finally, Collective Blessing. Now, it's a one-of. It's got a very unique effect. You know, this is one of those cards that almost feels like, oh, Myers, I just need something at 6 mana. How do we decide we needed to play this guy in?
Well, this guy makes all your threats, all your creatures, all your creatures threats, like a 2/2 becomes a 5/5.
Right.
Also, like, what's huge is like a lot of mid-range decks are going with Mysium Mortars to kill you.
Sure.
And this puts all your guys in Mortars range, so it's very nice.
But what matchups, I guess, do you want to draw at the most?
The mid-range decks is for sure. Even as control, you want it to.
All right, fantastic. So we're going to take a look now really quick at the mana base. You know, Forest, Plains, Guildgates, Temple Garden, pretty intuitive. I guess the only question I have is why are we playing 26 lands?
Exactly. We're playing 26 for the Guild Mage.
Okay.
And the reason we're not running Grove the Guardian.
Right.
I obviously thought about that card, but you have so many cards that cost like green, white.
G-Dub.
Yeah, like Voice, Guild Mage, Charm, the Worm, Smiter. Like you have so many cards, and like if you draw that card too early, it can just mess you up. And also, it's not going to get like control. It just makes your reward bigger.
Right.
That's all it does.
And it's not Wrath Insurance.
Exactly.
Which is
it's not.
huge thing.
Exactly. Very big.
So let's take a look at the sideboard actually and what matchups these cards come in against. Now, this looks kind of like your aggro package to me. Centaur Healer, Unflinching Courage. You want to gain some life. You want to have some bodies on the table. That seems pretty straightforward to me. I guess what I was more curious about is the next cards that we're going to look at here. Gideon and Frontline Medic. I've heard Patrick Sullivan tell me this card was better against mid-range greed decks. I've heard people tell me it's against Sphinx's Revelation. This card, good against Wrath, also kind of good against decks that swarm the board. What are these guys doing?
Yeah, you said it. Very good against mid-range decks because it lets you bash every turn. Not worry about anything. And also, it's Revelation Insurance. You don't want them to Revelate. So this card is double duty. Like I bring 2 against mid-range and 3 against like Revelation decks.
Totally.
And Gideon, same thing.
Oh yeah.
He's like a key ruin, like 5/5 key ruin against control.
Right.
Against aggro or mid-range. If you can become like a board stall.
Yeah.
They have to start attacking you. Otherwise, you're gonna wrap the board. Literally, like obliterate the board.
Him by himself.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
no one wants that. No one wants that.
Awesome. Getting a little bit of an underappreciated Planeswalker, but doing work here. Finally, let's take a look at the rest of the sideboard. We've got Collective Blessing. It's in the main deck. Rootborn Defenses in the main deck. The final card I want to ask about really is just how did we decide to play Angelic Skirmisher and construct it?
We just wanted it against mid-range decks. It's also very good with Frontline Medic. Like if you have this card Medic, you can do Vigilance.
Oh wow!
And Indestructible. So you just swing them.
Done
and then they come back to strike. You're like first strike. So it's like Blessing, but it's decent top deck.
Awesome. Yeah, right. And it can if you don't have any more creatures, it can still take over the game.
Right.
By
It's
itself.
much better. It's better than third Blessing. So that's the reason I'm playing it instead of a third Blessing.
Awesome. And then finally, we've seen a lot of Angel of Serenities here, kind of just, again, a trump in mid-range mirrors.
Exactly. Or it's kind of the mirror match, where it's very slow, very grindy. You're just like, all right, eat your tokens. I have a 5/6. Like
And you have 26 lands, so you can cast it.
exactly, yeah.
All right, awesome, really exciting. Thank you so much,
no
Ali.
problem, no
Great
problem.
deck with green-white mid-range. I'm Zach Hill. This is the Tournament Sitter. Let's get back to more Pro Tour Dragons Maze.